The Antichrist, the Black Halo, the Prince of Lies, Hellstorm, and the Son of Satan. Kind of. Just who is Daimon Hellstrom? Happy October. So Hulu is releasing a new Marvel series in this, my beloved birth month, and the reason for the season. The show is called Helstrom and looks to be a supernatural police procedural of sorts, my guilty pleasure genre, a la Supernatural, Constantine, etc., and will center around the titular characters Daimon and Anna Hellstrom, who are, in actuality, significant characters from the Marvel Universe, albeit it's a lesser-known occult underbelly. For those of you who might be interested in the series, or weren't sure if you should be interested in the series, because you literally have no idea who these characters are, or their relation to the Marvel Universe historically, then you've done well to click this video, and hopefully I can do well to shed a bit of light on this would-be Prince of Darkness. The early 70s began an age of comics known as the Bronze Age, where the Comics Code Authority got a little more lax and a little more lenient, paving the way for a quiet explosion of more adult-themed and centered comics, especially those dealing with the mystical, esoteric, and arcane. Stories like Ya Dracula's, Ya Werewolf by Nights, and so forth. The late, great Stan Lee himself wanted to ride this groovy wave by, and with a surplus of Excelsior, immediately introducing Satan himself into the Marvel landscape. I mean, hey, if you can adapt mythological figures like the Asgardians, and even named gods like Thor and Odin, then tackling demonkind can't be that much of a stretch, right? However, when Stan brought this up to his editor at the time, Roy Thomas, he told him, maybe ease off the gas a little there, pal. As I'm sure Roy considered it would prove a lot more difficult for a kid to explain his Satan brand lunchbox to his parents and teachers in the early 70s, even if that Satan were labeled as a villain, as was Stan the Man's original design. Roy Thomas the Think Engine's answer to this would be a story instead about Satan's half-demon son. Thus, the not-at-all subtly named Daimon Hellstrom was born, and, thanks to the writing of Gary Friedrich, made his debut in the first issue of the second volume of Ghost Rider in 1973, wherefrom he would go on to get his first feature spin-off, The Son of Satan, in Marvel Spotlight's numbers 12 through 24, starting in October of the same year. Ah, October, the golden month. Marvel Spotlight was a series of tryout books proposed by Stan Lee after he leveled up from Marvel Comics writer and editor to its president and subsequent deity, wherein we saw the first appearance of several OG characters like the aforementioned Werewolf by Night, but also Red Wolf, Ghost Rider, and even Spider-Woman, hoping those Olivia Wilde rumors are true. The Son of Satan run was, for obvious reasons, quite the controversial series upon its release, with numerous readers personally writing in to object to its depictions of both Satanism and Wiccanism as being either inaccurate or providing evil a greater platform. After the tumultuous but inarguable success of his Marvel Spotlight run, he moved on to his own series, and from there would eventually become a consistently recurring character in the Defenders. No, these Defenders, the OGs. In the Marvel Universe, there are several hell dimensions, and the demons therein are the product of the primeval concentration of evil energy left behind when Demogorge the God Eater drove the evil elder gods from Earth billions of years ago, shaped solely by the unconscious desires of their earliest human worshippers. A mouthful, I know. A council of the sovereign few of these demonic beings was formed, who would go on to call themselves, well, the Hell Lords, governing their own respective hell dimensions with iron, sulfur fists. It is here that we find the major distinction between Class 2 demons like Mephisto, Satanish, and Thog, and the concept of Satan as we might know him. The capital issue being simply that many of the Hell Lords have just catfished people into thinking they were Satan over the years, only furthering the mistaken idea that there is only the one. In the past, a number of these Hell Lords once acted collectively in attempts to create a son via a human woman, who was meant to serve as a living battery to store the black energy from the sins of humanity, of course. This in turn would give the Hell Lords the power to break on through to the other side, and through the walls of reality en masse, and rain literal and metaphorical hellfire down on the realm of humankind. You know, the dream. They all failed, however, save for the Satan that would come to be known as Daimon's father, Marduk Curious. Marduk, curious and curiouser, skimmed a little off the top from the power of the other Hell Lords, unbeknownst to them, to take human form, manifesting in Fire Lake, Massachusetts, where he would meet Damon's mother, Victoria Wingate Hellstrom. Victoria and Marduk would fall into sinful amour and quickly marry. A year later, Daimon Hellstrom was born, sporting a strange pentagram-shaped birthmark on his chest. His, believe it or not, even less subtly named sister, Satana, was born when Daimon was 3. Even though Satana was actually weaned on human blood and, once again, born with a literal pentagram-shaped birthmark, it would instead be his sister who would end up following in their father's flaming footsteps. So much was Satana about that life that when she was around the age of 3, her mother Victoria walked in on an animal sacrifice being performed by Satana specifically for Marduk, who then showed Victoria his true face. Naturally, in seeing this, Victoria descended into madness, unable to cope with the knowledge that she had willingly, mothered the Antichrist. This madness, coupled with the Chapel of Dresden's demonic womb rating, will likely explain Victoria's apparent demon-channeled psychosis in the Hulu series. As Satana, aka Satan's ride or die, was taken to hell to be raised right and proper in the ways of Hellcraft, Daimon was raised in a Jesuit orphanage, having little contact with his institutionalized mother and zero contact with his infernal father for the rest of his adolescence. This would be until, at a Jesuit monastery where Daimon was ironically training to be ordained, he learned of his mother's death and his supposed inheritance at the mansion of his childhood. There he would discover Victoria's diary, recounting her tale as a victim of Satan's manipulations and a hidden portal to hell. On the other side of this portal, Daimon would confront his father, who wished only for him to take his rightful place at his side, in a manner painting a picture I'm sure we can all clearly see. But as one would expect, Daimon would turn his father down and incapacitate him by awakening the powers of his dark soul, stealing his trident made of netheranium and using it to summon a flaming chariot pulled by 3 demon steeds, Aman, Hecate, and Set. What healthier way could there be to address your daddy issues than to tell him off, beat his ass, and exit the scene on a hellborn chariot, slamming the portal behind you? Following this explosive example of unparalleled rebellion that could have only made his father, be the Lucifer of myth, blush, Helstrom became a renowned occult expert and demonologist, as well as a costume crusader, calling himself, the son of Satan, of course, battling all manner of dark forces, which would consistently include his father, who of course would not have given up so easily on swaying a son who had now proven himself so capable. His continued superheroics would lead him to facing a haunting of colorful foes, including the evil Madame Swabata, Asmodeus, the human mystic of Satanish, the Sons of the Serpent, Master Pandemonium, Trimenextes, the Cat People, Father Darklight and his legion of nihilists, the former of which having exploded into a shower of roaches at the battle's end, Kithara of the Outer Dark, Mephisto, the Possessor, various other cult leaders that somehow led to Daimon's dark soul briefly and unfortunately possessing Howard the Duck, Mindstar, and let's not forget Dr. Reich, the apparent dentist of Hitler. As I mentioned, Daimon was a frequent ally and eventual member of the Defenders, more often than not having to save them from supernatural threats, including Doctor Strange. In case you were wondering why the team would need 2 Mystic Masters, it would be during his work with the Defenders that he fell in love with Patsy Walker, aka Hellcat, whom you may remember from the Jessica Jones Netflix series, whose 3rd season... look, I'm gonna finish it, alright? Eventually they would marry, and together they operated as paranormal investigators on the West Coast, calling themselves, in that classic Helstrom nomenclative bluntness, Helstrom and Hellstrom, occult investigators. A supernatural heroes for hire, if you will, which, good God, I need that. However, per the fate of all comics characters, especially the would-be Antichrist, Hellstorm and Hellcat's marriage would not have a happy ending, as Hellcat's attempts to save Hellstrom's life by returning his dark soul, which was stolen by Miracle Man, resulted in her subsequent insanity and eventually committing suicide. I mean, don't worry, she comes back eventually. It's a whole thing. But anyway, despite this, Hellcat did succeed, however, and once more imbued with the power of the dark soul, Daimon would return to battling his father and his demonic agents, eventually defeating him once and for all, bestowing upon him the Black Halo and lordship over Hell itself. This would be a crown he wore dutifully rather than favorably, in his belief that it would help to maintain the balance between heaven and hell so neither could take control of the workings of the universe and humanity would be left to govern their own destiny. Helstrom would of course go on many more adventures, requiring the exact kind of supernatural team-ups that I hope are the future of the Marvel TV universe, including the Midnight Suns, the God Squad, the Circle of Four, and the Spirits of Vengeance. Most recently, it's been shown that he now lives in Helltown, Bagalia, because of course he does, and was seen exercising Ghost Rider Robbie Reyes' Dodge Charger of an especially peculiar guest, which all in all proved to be an endearing reunion of the two characters, from whom one got their start. Being a hybrid of human and demon, so too are Damon's allegiances also split. As he continues to straddle the line between both worlds, he often protects Earth from evil, but equally operates in the interests of Hell. As Helstrom is the heir apparent to a dimension of Hell, when he's in Hell itself, his power is only as limited as his imagination. He can form and shatter magical wars and shields with ease, slay most anything by way of mere thought, and even decimate demons of high ranking among the infernal court. His powers, much like many gods and internet influencers, are amplified by the number of people worshipping him, as well as the strength and efficacy of their worship. Even the number of souls inhabiting his particular realm of Hell. Outside of Hell, he draws from the power of his aforementioned Dark Soul, which imbues him with supernatural strength, more specifically allowing him to lift 750 pounds with ease and the ability to control hellfire. He was also able to transmute his clothing into that of his demonic costume at will by extending the middle three fingers on each hand in the shape of a trident, and engulfing himself in soul fire in what I refuse to imagine as anything other than a magical girl transformation. He can project hellfire, also known as soulfire, a fire-like mystical energy capable of causing excruciating pain within living beings through direct stimulation of a person's life force. You know, the fire that's engulfing Ghost Rider's face at any given time. He's an incredibly powerful sorcerer, a contender to replace Doctor Strange as Sorcerer Supreme in one comic, a powerful exorcist, and is equipped with extensive knowledge of the occult and various mystic rites. The trident he stole from his father is made of netheranium, which is a psychosensitive metal found only in his father's realm of Hell. His helm, which allows him to focus his hellfire, increase the distance with which he can project it, and even fly. Oh, and once he used his powers to travel through time through sheer force of will to an ancient Atlantis, which must have been quite the taxing ability, as we, never see him try this again? And there you have it, everything you need to know and many things you didn't regarding Daimon Hellstrom. Thank you so immeasurably for having gotten to the end of my first video, a labor of love to say the least. If you like this one, do leave a like and comment what other occult superheroes you'd like me to crack open the grimoire on next to help me win the war against YouTube's algorithms. All hail the algorithm. Can't think of a comment? Try Cathara of the Outer Dark. Subscribe and hit that little bell up top if you want a notification for the next video, which will likely be Satana's. Stay safe, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds, wear a mask, and I'll see you, Skull, on the next one.